All right, welcome everybody to Into the Fire, coming to you live from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Myself, Jason White, along with Ronnie Leatherman. How's it
Hello,
going?
Jason. Good. How are you?
I'm going to test out this new mic tonight. I got a screaming deal. You know I like screaming deals, and I got a screaming deal off of Marketplace off this mic, and I'm going to try it. I have my other one at the ready, so if there's any kind of an issue, then I will switch it out in a quick hurry. But anyway, it's going to be a fun show tonight. We've got a couple of all-stars from the East Palo Alto Police Department. This city was established in 1983. They cover 2.5 square miles right there in between, a little bit northwest of San Jose. I love that because I was actually born in San Jose. And I've lived in that area, not in East Palo Alto, but I definitely lived in that area as a little kid. And it's pretty close to San Francisco. And I think that they're going to be able to provide a lot of cool stories along the way. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about why they're all stars. But what's been going on? You've just completed your first week as a civilian cold case investigator, and I've seen you back there clicking away. So what have you been doing?
Well, and quickly, you didn't mention this is episode 22. So
it is episode number 22. Who would have thought that we would still be here, episode number 22? Pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it's been good. I started my new gig there as the easiest way that people understand it. Basically, I'm a cold case detective as a civilian, working with Sergeant Jeremy Stiles. And no, I got settled in. Monday was setting up computers and stuff like that. But yeah, we've already started reviewing all the cases. We're trying to get a little more organized and just start digging through some of these cases and see if we can do some forensic testing on it, seeing if there's some people who can get re-interviewed, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good deal. And it's interesting. The office is still as it was when I left a couple years ago. There's a couple new faces, but I mean the back and forth banter, the hard work on all the murders you guys get working as a team. It's nice to see that has continued, and I'm glad to be back there.
Yeah, and just for the listeners, I mean, there's approximately 300 cases that are located inside of that room that date back to 1968. So there is a lot to choose from as far as cases, and there's no doubt in my mind that there's some cases that are back there that are diamonds in the rough that are, mind you, some of the most complicated cases that Tulsa's ever had, and that's why they're back there for a reason. But Ronnie was an exceptional detective, and he's got 2 years of now crime analyst experience under his belt, which I have no doubt will help him along that way too. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully I'll be able to help you along the way on some of that stuff, and it'll be a lot of fun. So I don't know, but we managed to avoid any tornadoes. I want to thank everybody that sent me a bunch of messages to make sure that we were okay here in Tulsa. There's a town called Barnsdall that's located just to the northwest of Tulsa. How many minutes is that, Ronnie? I don't even.
It's roughly an hour, maybe. I really don't remember.
I don't even know if it's that far, but it doesn't seem like it's that far. But it's the only town in the United States that actually has a working oil well on its main street, I think is what it is. But that town, narrowly missed it. The whole thing getting completely flattened. It had an F4 tornado that rolled through there, and so we're really lucky that the loss of life wasn't much greater than it was. So prayers and thoughts go out to that community as well as those that live up in Bartlesville, because that's that community also got hit a little bit too. So just a crazy time with weather, and we're lucky that they give us a lot of advanced warnings here in Oklahoma. Ronnie and I are a little bit obsessed. I think we're a little bit weird when it comes to tornadoes. We actually like to jump in the car, and when we were working, from time to time, we would like to try to be spotters.
It never quite worked out though. We were always either too late or it was too far away. And so that's what's crazy, true. That I've lived in Oklahoma for 50 years, my whole life, and I've never seen a tornado.
Well, these guys here, I've seen one. I've seen it by your parents' house up in, I was up in Joplin. So, and they live close to there. So I saw it and I couldn't believe it. But nevertheless, let's get into this. I want to give these guys as much bang for the buck as we possibly can. these two people are fans of the show. They've been watching since not only they've been fans of this show, they've been fans of us on the first 48. I think they've been watching us since back in 2014 when we started. That's always really special to myself and Ronnie and all the other cops that happen to be on that show from time to time, because, you always wonder how the other cops, what they think about, what are we talking about? We don't want to give away any trade secrets, etc. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think obviously this show's different than the first 48, and I think that show does a great job of portraying what we do without getting too much into the super details of how some of this stuff works. But I mean, I think a lot of the stuff that you guys do is pretty common knowledge, and so it doesn't bother me. I think it just shows good.
Let's jump in.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me either. It's just that it's kind of, you always kind of wonder, And there's actually only been one cop that's ever wrote me and kind of was scolding me for being a part of it, but that was from Redondo. I think it was Redondo Beach, actually. But after I explained it to him, he was a little bit better about it. Nevertheless, we're glad to have them here. They're going to be, I think what you're going to find is you're going to find that there's two all-stars in the East Palo Alto area. Amanda, let's start off with showing that video that news clip about their city.
When you set out with a certain goal in mind, it's hard enough to meet it, let alone surpass it and set a new standard. But such is the story tonight in East Palo Alto, where just the name of that city 30 years ago, it used to evoke images of rampant runaway violence, earning the city the title of the nation's murder capital. Well, now they've got a different headline with crime that's bringing national attention once again, but in the best possible way. Kelsey Thorne reports.
Well, for the first time in the department's history, East Palo Alto police say they did not record a single murder the entire year of 2023. It's an accomplishment the police chief says shows just how far this community has come since the dark days of the early 90s. Police Chief Jeff Liu grew up in Palo Alto and remembers exactly what his parents used to say about East Palo Alto.
My parents always told me, don't go to East Palo Alto. And this was like the 80s, early 90s. Don't go to East Palo Alto. It's very dangerous. Stay out of East Palo Alto.
During that time, East Palo Alto was known as the murder capital of the U.S. In 1992, the city of just 24,000 people at the time reported 42 homicides, the most per capita of any city in the country. Chief Liu says even now, 30 plus years later, it's still hard to shake that reputation.
Even when I'm in different areas of the state, you say, yeah, I work in East Palo Alto, people would say, ooh, because they think it's dangerous.
Despite those hurdles, Chief Liu joined the East Palo Alto Police Department 23 years ago. He became chief in 2023, and that same year, the city accomplished something many thought may never happen. They did not record a single murder the entire year.
After so many years of carrying that label around, to reach zero murders for the 2023 year, that's just the hugest community accomplishment possible.
Chief Liu credits the entire community for the success, saying everyone from local churches to after-school programs to community leaders chipped in to create a safe and welcoming culture in the city.
Everybody's been working through this, or working towards this, for so many years. That's why I say it's a community celebration right now.
It's a trend the chief is hopeful will continue long into the future, but one he says he's prepared to handle either way.
I know we reached a milestone, and it's an amazing thing, but we can't rest. We have to keep working and keep finding new ways of doing things.
And Chief Liu really isn't taking any of the credit for this accomplishment. I jokingly asked him if he was going to be bragging about this to other police chiefs in the area, and he told me that he couldn't do that because he doesn't even take a small amount of the credit. He gives all of that to the city of East Palo Alto.
I'm going to give Chief Liu props for that story. I think that's great, and he's giving credit where credit is due, which is to the community. But also, I have to give a lot of the credit to the two detectives that we're going to bring on here in a moment. One of the things that I'd actually seen from an article that came out of the LA Times. They said that gunfire was the city's soundtrack, and residents used to say that Palo Alto was there were drive-ins, and in East Palo Alto there were drive-bys. What a thing to have said about the city, but I thought that was kind of funny. So let me tell you how all this came about, just to the listeners, and I think this is fun. I oftentimes Ronnie and I will say something that if you know of somebody that's extraordinary out there, people that are movers and shakers in the world of criminal justice, let us know. I mean, if you don't let us know, we don't know every cop that's located in this country. And we want to know about who is making a difference in a positive way. And that's what happened. I got a letter from a guy by the name of Eddie Montgomery. He's somebody that thinks incredibly, he's got an incredibly high opinion of these two guys. And he wrote me a letter and he told me that basically, I'm just going to do a little summary of this, but that basically he started out telling me about East Palo Alto. And he says it's severely, at the time, it was severely lower class income. There are 5 validated gangs that operate within the city. And just a few years ago, East Palo Alto was designated the deadliest city in America, with the highest number of homicides per capita than any place in America. The FBI, DEA, and Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, along with the County Sheriff's Office and California Highway Patrol, were all sent to supplement a 30-member police department. That's right there in and of itself is hard to believe. In a city that is only 2.5 square miles. And the homicide clearance rate was abysmal, some 80% being unsolved, as well as the bulk of Part 1 crimes, which are like major shootings, rapes, stuff like that. The tide changed when old school detectives were replaced by detectives using good old-fashioned police work. Jason Peardon, was a retired sergeant from the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office, who had run the countywide gang intelligence unit, joined the East Palo Alto Police Department Detective Division to primarily work cold cases, some of which he's already solved. He joined rookie detective Joe Klein, and in 2021, the bulk of homicides and Part 1 crimes were being solved. In 2022, the detectives team achieved a 100% clearance rate, along with 100% of shooting incidents being cleared by arrest. That is extraordinary. In 2023, the city received international attention by having 0, and I repeat, 0 homicides in a calendar year for the first time since the city's inception. And I just think that's incredible. On a recent note, basically, Detective Klein solved a complex homicide where the victim has never been located. He has recently been asked to present on that particular no body case and at an upcoming homicide investigator symposium. And no body cases, as we've already learned, are incredibly rare. Only 599 cases of those have hit a courtroom in the nation's history. And that's basically that. So let's bring them both on. I think they're both extraordinary individuals, and I'm happy to have them here. Welcome, Jason Peardon, who's a civilian now. He's retired. He does what Ronnie does. It's like another Ronnie. And then we've got our other guest, Sergeant Klein, who he said earlier he's got 23 years to go.
23 years.
Hey, let me ask you both. Let me ask you both real quick. Just kind of briefly, kind of give me your brief resume as to what you've done while being a police officer. Because everybody that's a cop, we all have our little special things that we've done. So let's start with the sergeant. Go back and tell me how long have you been on and what your job entails and where you came from.
So originally I'm from Mayberry, North Carolina. If that sounds familiar, that's from the Andrew Griffith Show. It's a real place. From there, I went to the Marine Corps, did 9 years there. And then when I left that, I wanted to become a police officer. I came to East Palo Alto. I've been here for about a little over 5 years now, 7 years total in law enforcement. And right after about a year and a half in, Chief Lou approached me and was like, hey, I want you to put in for detectives. There's nothing I actually ever wanted to do. Detectives was never in my mind. I wanted to, be a K-9 officer, hit the streets. And they just kind of fell my lap. And then I just kind of took it and I tried to run with it as best I could. And I was lucky. I had Jason Peardon come in, and he's a wealth of knowledge. And he just really kind of helped foster a new way of being a police officer and a detective. And we really started treating people with respect out in the streets, and that really started building that cooperation with the community and the police department. With Chief Lou, he's been here for 23 years. Everyone's like, "Hey, where's the chief at?" We just had a Cinco de Mayo event, and everyone's like, "Hey, where's the chief?" So with 2.5 square miles, everybody knows who I am. I know who everybody is, and just fostering that really great relationship between us and the community is helped us solve a lot of crimes. And technology.
That's great. And so you just started being a supervisor. You've been a supervisor for roughly 5 minutes. And
About exactly that.
And now you're supervising guys that have probably been a cop for a long time, and you're adjusting to that, I'm sure. So, but you got promoted for a reason, and I think that's great, and we want to congratulate you for that. You exhibited something that's going to be good. You're the future. And so, Jason, tell us about you, because your career is a little bit longer, and and you're still in it, so that's great. Tell us about yourself.
So I started in 1989 as a correctional officer in San Mateo County, and was promoted to deputy shortly thereafter. And over the past 32 years, I've worked, all different stuff, from patrol, the jail, transportation. I was a motor for a little bit, and was promoted to sergeant about 12 years ago. And went back to the jail as the sheriff's office. That's kind of the normal thing where you go back there. Went and worked patrol for a year. And then I was tasked with running the county's gang intelligence unit, which I did for 7 years before retiring. Jeff called me the month that I retired in December and said, "Hey, what are you doing? Got a job for you." And I go, "Well, I retire in 2 days." He goes, "Well, you could start in 2 days." So I've been here for 2.5 years. I got hired as a cold case investigator, civilian, like Ronnie. And then we had several homicides in 2022. So it went from cold case to active case rather quickly.
Hey, Amanda, show that slide with all of the different homicide numbers on there, just to give the viewers an idea as to how many homicides. And that spike year 1992, that was 42 homicides in a city that has 2.5 square miles. That is insanity. And what that equals to, if you were living here in Tulsa, that's like Ronnie and I, when we were working homicides, that's like us getting 700 all of a sudden and having 10 guys doing it. So, because I'm sure they weren't, how many detectives do you think were working homicides back then?
And back then, I don't. So in 91, when you had that slide, I was actually assigned down here as a deputy, which you talk about, it being the wild, wild west back then. It was insane. And I mean, like now we have 4 that are assigned here, and then there's 2 of us that are cold case investigators. So we have 6 for this,
which is a huge plus, because in the beginnings of 2023, the beginning of 2022.
No, 23 when it was just.
Well, we started from 4. We went all the way down to just me and Jason for the entire city for a few months until we started adding a little bit more detectives. So that was an interesting time to run the city with.
What's the majority of the murders that you get? I know they happen for various reasons, but is there any trends you guys saw? That gangs, drugs, domestics?
Drug rips are the majority.
Okay. Which is interesting is, I mean, California weed's legal, but I mean, we have a ton of the dispensaries getting ripped off throughout this entire state. And I mean, a lot of these are, over a pound of marijuana, and we're getting murders out of them.
And that's something Jason and I have dealt with in the past. And I think Jason's talked about it probably more than I have over the years, but marijuana is by far the deadliest drug here in Tulsa. I mean, people aren't dying from smoking it, but there was all kinds of robberies and shootings and stuff that happened over that.
And why is that, Ronnie?
Crazy.
Why is that, Ronnie? You've said it before. Well, no, you've said it because people want it. They like it and they want it. That's basically why there's a motherload of freaking murders over it. But it's more than any other murder combined where we're living. So, all right. So tell us about the secrets of your success, because you jumped in there And I think that when I read, I think it was Joe's or Joseph's when I read his thing, it was basically you're 5 for 5, or no, 12 for 12 on murders, right? That you actually had, which is 100% clearance rate of your own. And but the both of you, were you just specifically, were you working fresh cases or were you just working cold? No, you have 5 cold cases total,
No,
right?
I started working cold cases, but then in 2022 we had 5 active homicides that year, so I switched from doing cold to helping the detectives out with the fresh ones.
Okay.
Were you going out on to the scenes, or were you just at the office doing research and paperworks and?
Yeah, more the analytical part through the desk and doing what I can. When I was with the sheriff's office, I was the forensics for the phone, so I'm kind of the phone guy here. So a lot of it, doing that part, doing the background on suspects, and just kind of, organizing everything.
So what's the secrets of success that you guys have been able to
Teamwork.
manage to do? That's
relentless work ethic.
Right. Teamwork makes the dream work, doesn't it? That's what's
teamwork is by far the biggest thing. The one thing that the biggest success we've had is video, and it's private person's video. It's been a lot, and here in this city we've got the entire town covered with ShotSpotter, which has helped us. So we get the early detection warning there, but a lot of it has to do with video. And as you guys knocking on doors quickly to get that video, because a lot of the residents here don't have the account, so we're lucky if we get 2 or 3 days before it gets erased.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have like a real-time crime center and cameras up in the city that you guys can get, or Flock or any of that?
We're 2.5 square miles. There's right now there's 3 detectives and 2 cold case guys. We wish we had something like that. Flock, we're looking at. There's some private Flock cameras in here, which we do. We do utilize. The peninsula here is covered in Flock cameras. So if we get a good suspect description, vehicle description, we have that technology too.
And you said something about ShotSpotter. Right.
Yes.
And we don't have that here. I have an idea as to what it is. What can you tell us about it that's not private or, confidential stuff? What is it?
It's a gun detection system that gives real time when a gunshot goes off. So it's monitored by Sound Thinking. ShotSpotter used to be their main name, but they changed their name to Sound Thinking. So it's monitored through that company. And then there's a phone app, there's a computer app. Our dispatch center also has it, so it immediately pushes out the alert. So there's audio, so you actually hear the shooting, and then pinpoints the actual location or close to it. And then it actually, like if it's a drive-by shooting, you can watch it on the screen as it goes through, so if it's fixed or if there's a vehicle driving through.
Wow.
How has that affected you, Joseph, since you went back to patrol? I think you said you're overnight graveyard. So when you guys get one of those ShotSpotter things, what goes through your mind, and how do you guys respond to those?
Well, we still get quite a few. What it really does is it pinpoints exactly where it's at within a 10-meter radius. We can tell by looking at the map while we're on the way there if it's trailing. So if it's a drive-by shooting or somebody's standing in their front yard and they're lighting off rounds. And then you can actually tell if there's a volley between, one place and to another. So you see if it's a gunfight. And that really helps us with going to the call, ensuring that we're all coming in safely, and then knowing at least the impact area that we're looking for.
Yeah.
So it keeps everybody on high vigilance that, how we approach is really helpful with Sound Thinking and ShotSpotter.
And it just seems super helpful to me. I mean, I haven't been in a cop car at this point over 20 years, but it was always, when you had certain calls, it's not, everyone doesn't need to rush to the scene. So you need to spread out because the suspects are driving away. So I think that would be a cool thing to have, where you can adjust your responses and have, obviously officer safety comes first and get people there, but also start fanning people out in the general area of where the shots were going from.
Absolutely. It definitely helps with canvassing the area because we know exactly where it's going to go, right where it's going to be at. And with a city this small, we're there within a minute, 2 minutes of notification. So when it helps either try to find the person that was fired, but also assist the victims potentially in saving their life if we make it there on time because we know exactly where it's at.
How many officers do you guys usually have on duty at a time?
Right now we're running 3 and a sergeant. We're rated for 5 and a sergeant, but we have a great hiring staff that's been working for the last 2 or 3 years of really getting our numbers up. We have an extremely young police department, and that's good and it's bad in its own because the way that law enforcement is now with technology and then the perception, you can really train these young officers and mold them into what should be the future of law enforcement without any bad habits.
Yeah.
And that's a perk. That's exciting for us to really care about the development of younger people and, building that trust with the community going forward is a huge help when they see an officer come up that's so young and really want to be that great person.
Yeah.
I'm going to share 2 things with you, and this is free. I'm going to share 2 things that my dad, who was a California highway patrolman, taught me. My dad never wanted me to be a cop. He was like, heck no. But finally he's come around and now he's like, okay, you can do this. I can see that you can do it. But the 2 things that he taught me is, number 1, to shut your mouth. This is to new people, to shut your mouth and listen to those that have been there before you and really listen. And I see Jason shaking his head because that's right. And then the second thing is this badge that they give you, make sure that it's the same size it was the day they issued it to you, not 5 sizes too big. And I've heard that about 3 times from you already, Joseph, where you're talking about treating people with respect and just treating people right. And that really goes a long ways. And I'm not advocating back rubs in the community, but basically it's just treating people right. And sometimes you got to get their attention. And that generally works. But if you treat people, they get the game. They just don't want to be talked to rudely, etc.
A big thing for us is we're already in a very impoverished community as is, and a traffic ticket is $400 or $500 here. So giving somebody some education and let them know why their traffic violation was wrong or what could have potentially happened, that goes a lot longer, and at least it gives them education on what they did wrong and how they can change their behavior. But it also builds that connection with oh, he didn't ticket me, he just gave me a warning. And then so they don't walk away with a $500 debt or bill, and they have a more positive interaction with the law enforcement.
Yeah, I agree.
And before we go on, technology is amazing, but we have a group of district attorney investigators that have just been a key role in the DA's office in solving the majority of crimes that we've worked. 11 out of my 12 homicides were solved really because of the relationship that we have with the DA's office, all the way from the head guy, Steve Wagstaff, to the DAIs, Jordan Boyd and Bill Massey and Jamie Draper, that just really engulf in law enforcement. They're just like Jason and I. We love solve crime. We love to be there for the community, and it's something that we actually just really strive for and enjoy doing. And it's great when you have a group of people that have the same mindset and the same goal.
Yeah, go ahead, Ronnie.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, what is the relationship with your? You said you're surrounded by some of the most billionaires are living in your area than anywhere else in this country, probably the world, really, or maybe the world.
We have one of the richest counties. We don't have any big city here. We have San Francisco to the north. We have Oakland to the east, and then we have San Jose to the west or to the south. And so we're just surrounded by massive communities outside of there, but we're really tight knit here in the community of San Mateo. And it is very interesting when you go to court and you see citizens from other cities and they see the type of stuff that happens in East Palo Alto. They're just shocked. They're like, I can't believe this is in our county. But that relationship, like the chief said in his interview, is when you hear East Palo Alto, everyone's like, oh, what? Don't go there. But we have an IKEA. They have amazing food over there, so it's great. but we're turning it around. It's a diamond in the rough here, with Facebook being less than a mile away, and every tech company is based out of Silicon Valley, the Bay Area, and they're all out of San Mateo County for the most part.
Yeah. So what generally do you think that it's different there than it is here for sure. We're blessed here in Tulsa, honestly, and I've said it a long time, and Ronnie would agree with me, is that, we're on TV. We've been on TV. We've been blessed to be on there. And in our community, in some of the purple areas where the crime is the worst, it's almost like, wouldn't you agree, Ronnie, that we kind of get a pass when we go into some of those areas? I mean, it's like in some instances, I don't even know if they really realize that we're the real cops. I mean, they're kind of like, oh yeah, you can enter. These other guys, keep them back, but they're usually pretty nice to us and respectful to us. So what is the general interaction with the public on is everybody pretty cool with you guys for the most part?
It depends on, certain things, but the one thing the city does really well with is, community outreach. The chief has every year does a Christmas drive where the entire city goes out, and people tell us how many kids they have, and they go buy presents and bring those out to the families. They have where they give gift cards, and they go out and pull over cars instead of giving tickets. Here's a gift card to be able to help with groceries or whatever else. National Night Out's a huge thing here. We have huge. I mean, again, it's it's a 2.5 square mile city, but I think we've got like 10 different block parties that go on in this, in the city, that we go out and try and make contact with each and every one of them. So the relationship, I mean, like Joe was saying, it's a small city, and most of the people do know everybody that's here. But some of the stuff still goes back to the old saying, snitches get stitches. So some of that stuff, we still have to it's still a challenge on some of the cases, but for the most part, we're not taking bottles or rocks or any of that kind of stuff. We're there getting our job done.
Right.
So in that news article, it talked a little bit about like the churches and community groups, and I think maybe in the fire department. Do you guys, obviously, I guess you have a good working relationship, and how do you feel all these other non-law enforcement groups have helped with this cleanup of the city?
Again, it takes a village to do all of this, and a lot of it is even if they don't want to come forward, we've got our tip line that we start getting stuff on, and we'll take whatever we can to be able to solve the cases. The fire department here, we work hand in hand with them on a regular basis. They've got a fantastic each fire rig has a drone, and then they also have a 3D scanner, not the Faro scanner, but an actual 3D scanner where you can go through the room, that you're able to show to a jury and be able to walk through, different crime scene and stuff. And they're fantastic about coming and doing whatever we need with that technology.
All right. So in saying that, is that better than a Faro? Because if so, we want it.
I don't, the Faro, it takes the measurements and everything. This thing's more of like, when you watch the different like Redfin and the different realtors where you walk through the house.
Okay.
That's what that thing is. So it's great for taking, those type of videos to be able to show the walkthrough, but actual like measurements and stuff, I don't think the technology's there for that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
The other big thing is the ability to talk to people. Recently, we've had so many issues with officers getting out of their cars and actually contacting folks. And that's really, I think, where I come into play. Like, I have the gift of gab. Like, I love to talk to folks nonstop. And you would be surprised at how many homicides have been solved with a honey bun and orange juice with the people on the street. Like, hey, here's some breakfast. Let's have a chat. And then, they know the streets, and then they let in some information that just really puts us on the right path forward. And just getting out of your car and talking to people. And that's what has been the most successful with solving these homicides.
I'm just thinking, Jason, that reminds me of some of the stuff Jason and I did in the past, and maybe you're still doing it, Jason. I mean, like Jason said, I'm not hey, let's go give everybody a free massage and hey, you can do whatever you want. But yeah, you got to have respect. And there was countless times Jason and I would hit a drive-through on the way to detective division to interview somebody because the people were hungry, maybe just because they were hungry, or just, you know, just like we've all said, just being nice to people. And hey, here's you a burger and some fries and a drink, and just relax, man. Everything's going to be fine. I'm Ronnie. This is Jason. Just tell us what's up. And that was so helpful for us, I think.
Yeah.
Would you agree, Jason? You were smiling.
I think that Joseph said it right, is that, you know, really, I tell people this all the time, and I'm going to talk to you as a negotiator, but this is the key. If people want to know what the most important ingredient is to being a cop, it's your ability to communicate with people, period. It's more important than any other skill that they teach you as a police officer. It's more important than driving, shooting. All that stuff's important. Don't get me wrong, but to be able to communicate with people, it's the number one thing that we are trained in. I want to say hello to your chief. Your chief's actually in here watching. Hey, when the chief actually shows up to say hello, or he actually stops by and he actually comments that you two are the two most talented and hardworking investigators that he knows, then I think we've got the right people here for this.
And he's in Virginia right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so, he's in training in Virginia.
That's nice. So you are so you're representing your community, and that's appreciated. So go ahead, Ronnie.
I was just thinking before we move on from that, what's the basic structure of the department, and how has the administration, other than the chief, been helpful for you guys? I assume the support's from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, we have a chief, 2 commanders. We're allotted 5 sergeants. I think we're down 1 right now. And then what do we got? 30 patrol or 30 officers somewhere.
We're rated for 32, and we currently have, say, roughly 22, 23 patrol officers and sergeants. So, and we have multiple people in backgrounds, and I think we're probably short maybe 1 or 2 bodies to be fully staffed. And that'd be first time since I've been here that we've had this many officers.
But getting back to, you know, the staffing, as small as we are, and we're hitting search warrants for murder suspects and gang members, and you know, we have to do a threat matrix to come up with it, and a lot of them are SWAT hits or need, you know, multiple personnel. You know, the relationship in this county that we have with all the chiefs is phenomenal. Like Joe was saying with the DA's office, it's an interesting county. Everybody gets along. You call for help, we get help. The U.S. Marshal Service is kind of like our backbone to go out and help us go track down our fugitives, or you know, utilize them for making entries for our search warrants. Because without that, with the staff we have, you know, it's difficult. And we do, like Joe was saying, we've got very young officers, but we invite them to every single one of the search warrants, so they get to see the type of investigation skills, looking at the evidence collection. We do what we can to, you know, show them the ropes at a very young, you know, part in their career.
So, and another thing that we do is,
so you guys probably have to do like all your crime scene collecting evidence yourself, as well as the interviews and search warrants and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless if it's a homicide or you know, a case that we think is going to lead to a homicide, we have a county crime lab. They'll come out and process the entire scene. But if it's anything short of that, we're doing it all ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't even imagine doing all of that by yourself. But it's probably like Sons of Anarchy, you know, when they'd call the crime lab from the county to come out. But hey, listen, I'm just curious. Out of all of the, what was it that you guys did that was different from the other detectives when you got all of these cold cases solved and stuff? I mean, I'm not saying anything disparaging against the other guys, but literally technology. People don't understand the technology that you have to work with today is like learning another language at times, really.
And that's the big thing, is the technology. But, you know, it's a busy city, and back in the day, they'd get a homicide and then they would get another homicide. You know, the biggest thing that, you know, that we changed was making sure that we worked as a team. We worked it as hard as we could, and kept it as active as we could. And again, the video for 2022, I think solved the the majority of them for us, at least pointed us in the right direction to be able to start going.
Yeah, Ronnie and I had a cold case like that, and it was just based off of a tip that came in. And when I watched the surveillance video, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the guy right there. I know this guy, So the original detectives just didn't even know him, and that's kind of one of those things. So I think that I'm sure that I'm sure part of it had to do with just no manpower. I mean, just they were so busy running around. How many cold cases do you think that you have sitting back there on your shelves?
That cabinet that he's pointing
cabinet right there.
Really? So you got plenty to choose from.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they date back all the way to 1983, I would assume, right?
Yeah, the sheriff's office has the ones before those, and they've got 2 cold case investigators. The counties, over the last year and a half, San Mateo police just got 2 cold case investigators. I think Redwood City's looking for it. So it's becoming more and more, popular to get, like, Ronnie and I, after you retire, to be able to come in and help out and try and solve some of these cases.
But one of the other things that you were talking about, I always heard of the first 48 until my first homicide, and we stay here, and we got our suspect's name in the 47th hour, and I was like, oh my god, that thing's real. Like the first 48 is like a real thing. That's insane. To get our suspect within that 2-day period, and it's really that grind, and that's what I think here with the work ethic that we have, our team dynamic, because it's not, hey, you're on call, this is your homicide. This is our homicide. Everybody comes out. Everybody's taking a piece of it. And that's something that hasn't happened since I've been around. And now that, it's a team environment with Jason, I, and the other guys is what really has made us success.
Yeah, you got to work as a team. That's what's crucial. Even and if you ever watched the show Bosch, which is pretty cool, it's on Amazon. He's got a little sign by his desk that says "Get off your rear and go knock on some doors." And there's truth to that. There really is. You got to get out there and start. I've got a guy right now that I need to go knocking on his door, but because they won't call you. They just won't call you. And so you got to get out there and you got to talk to them. Hey, what's the basic requirement? I'm sure you guys are looking for people right now, and your chief wanted to do a little advertisement, and I.
Oh, he did.
So, and what's the basic requirements for somebody if they're listening to this? Hey, listen, I got relatives that live in the Bay Area still to this day. What if they want to be a cop with your agency? What is your requirements to become a cop there?
Go ahead, Joe.
Have a pulse, and we will teach you. Now, our chief has kind of built in what he wants, and it's people that care. We don't need the top athletes. We don't need you to be, have a master's degree. We want you to come in, and we want you to actually want to do good work. We want you to be appropriate with the community. We want you to be able to be trainable and to learn how to do the job the right way for people who actually care. And if you come in and you're not as highly educated and you've failed our Pellet B a couple of times, which is our entry test to get in, we'll work with you. We will sit you down. We'll put you with Eddie, who works with all of our guys on report write-in as a civilian, and we will train you how to be a better cop, how to be a better person, and how to really just have you grow as a person. So we'll take you and we'll train you. We've taken a lot of folks from other agencies that maybe didn't work out at other agencies on probation or on FTO. And you get so much exposure here, because in some places you might get one domestic violence in the 6 months that you're on FTO, and you didn't handle it the right way because it was your first week on the job. We got you. We got you 211 every day. We got you domestic violence every day. We got shot spotters every day, multiple times. Yeah. So
a 211 is a robbery. So,
sorry, yeah. In our robbery, we had that last night. Just it happens all the time here in the city, and the education and just the experience you get here as a young officer. If you leave here and you go somewhere else, you're an all-star. You're an all-star there from the jump because you have so much experience. And the kind of joke is you have one here in East Palo Alto is 9 years at another agency.
Yeah. We had the same thing here in Tulsa, where the talk was that if you worked up in North Tulsa, it was like 1 year there is like 3 years anywhere else in the city. That's the way it was when we started. But then I think now it's kind of it's moved over to the east side of town where they're really, really busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'll tell you what, this is exciting stuff for me because I always like to hear how other places do it, and it's just interesting to me. So now for you say you have 23 more years left. I mean, what's your top goal here, Joseph? What are you going to stick around for? Are you going to try to go 30 or 35 or the cops of today really don't? Good.
So I have this thing where I like to work. I know it's a weird thing for the country nowadays, but I love my job. I love the hunt. I think that's the best thing for when I came into the detective bureau and I got my first case, and then just to do a different side of policing than your patrol, and patrol is extremely important, but just to see the other side of crime and the hunt to chase somebody down, I think it's kind of like chess. It's like a mind game. Who's smarter? Who can figure out what? And it's so exciting. It's been that way ever since I've been a cop. I just love it. And I'm not going anywhere as my chief is continuously flashing on the scene. I love this community. I think that I found my niche and a place where I can really impact people. Yeah. I can impact the community, and I can impact junior officers and how they grow up. And I like to see that. I did that in the Marine Corps when I had junior Marines. Is just try to put them in the right path and make them better.
And I think that this job is a calling. It really is. I mean, it almost pains me. I have to say this, and we've kind of gotten to a world now where we're giving sign-on bonus. Do you have sign-on bonus there currently?
We do.
What's that? What is that?
30,000.
30,000 to sign on. Okay. And how long do they
not
have
even
to
as
stay
a lateral? 3 years.
Okay. All right. So that's a good little chunk of money. And so $30,000 sign-on bonus to come to you guys. My personal opinion. But then again, I came in at a different time. I mean, when Jason came on, you probably were competing against hundreds of other applicants to do that job.
If not thousands.
Yeah, if not. Well, I've heard that. I've heard I was listening to one of my buddies up in Rochester, New York. They had 5,000 applicants for his academy class. You know what I mean? And he scored like a 94% on his exam, and he basically made it. They squeezed in another academy, like a third academy. That's how competitive that was. It's not like that anymore, ladies and gentlemen. If you really want to do this job and you're not, you haven't been running around with Jesse James, your chief said if you're breathing, but I know that it's more than that. You're going to have to, you can't go smoke a crack rock and then go down there and run the course. You're going to have to, have some integrity, and you're going to have to be able to pass a background, but it's not that difficult to get on if you really want it. I love the fact that you guys are willing to go out of your way to help people. Get on, and that's something that we need, and we do the same thing to an extent, but that's what we want. We want people to want to do this job. It's a calling. And so
we also have the backing of our chief. So our last POA negotiations, our chief went to bat for us, got us a 15% raise, got us a $10,000 retention bonus, because he's like, hey, we're going to build you up, we're going to teach you how to be a cop, we want to keep you. So our chief went to bat for us. It got us a really big raise that put us right in the hunt for other agencies. So we're more attractable now. We have really nice vehicles. Our pursuit policies really friendly. So we can still be cops. And here in the Bay Area, that's something that's really hard for other agencies to do. I think that's what's attractive is people want to get out there and be police.
What's the top out for a cop, real quick? For a top out pay for the police officer, if you know.
Give me 1 second, I can tell you.
Hey, while he's looking that up, hey Eddie, I know you're watching from the other room. Stop in, say hello, because you're viewed from throughout the world. Throughout the world, we're the number one show on this station that is an alternative show. It's not a I don't know, what would you call it, Ronnie?
Paranormal stuff.
Yeah, paranormal stuff. There he is. There he is. There's Eddie. Eddie, you're star.
Great show, Jason, Ronnie.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I appreciate it. See, if you're out there in the country and you know somebody that's really there. Thanks a lot, Eddie. What do you do, Eddie? By the way, what do you do?
Well, right now what I do is I teach advanced report writing. I teach people to get them through the Pellet B test, which is the local test here in California to become a police officer. And then if they have writing trouble through the academy, or if they're being promoted from one area, like in patrol and going into investigations where it's a little bit more advanced, like writing search warrants and probable cause and things like that. So that's what I do.
Were you a cop?
No, I was a paramedic.
Okay. And you're not doing any
They used to sit around and read English books for fun.
All right. Well,
So-
listen.
Always a book.
Listen.
I got those
This is-
numbers for you.
Well, okay, go ahead. Tell us what the highest paid, what you can make there.
So our top step officer makes $61.79 an hour, and top step sergeant makes $74.21 an hour.
Okay, you can. That's a good start. And somebody said to give a plug in for dispatchers as well. If police work is not your thing, dispatchers make good money too, and they're part of the team. And we can't operate without good dispatchers. So consider that as well. Anything else that you want to say, Eddie? You got anything else you want to say, comment wise? What am I missing? Because you guys, these two, they're really heroes to you. And so, what am I missing?
One of my messages, and that's why I sent you the photograph. Do you have it of Sergeant Klein with Spider-Man?
Oh, yep. Throw that up there, Amanda. Throw that up there.
This is a man. These are two gentlemen that lead from the heart. And that little boy there was a victim of a crime, and Sergeant Klein saw it in his day to make sure that he got a special visit from Spider-Man just before Christmas. And that's what these two gentlemen are all about. That's why I reached out to you, because I knew that you guys are of the same DNA.
That's awesome. I love it. That had to have been pretty amazing. And there's a video
anywhere.
There's a video that I will throw up on my Facebook page that I'll throw up there. And it's the video of that little boy getting a backpack from, who was it? Was it another police officer that was Spider-Man, or?
That was Detective Sal Perez.
It was Spider-Man. Who do you think it was?
It was the Spider-Man.
Come on.
Never mind.
Never mind. With the backpack was.
That's right. It was.
There he is.
There you go. Right on.
He's
All
a
right.
little bit shorter. He's a little bit shorter in real life, but he's a great guy.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys this. See you, Eddie. I'm going to tell you this to the three of you guys. And to your chief, because you're to Chief Lou. You got friends in Tulsa. If you ever have an investigation that leads you our way, you don't hesitate. I'm going to send you a copy of our homicide booklet that Ronnie and I came up with, and we handed out to families. Feel free to steal the idea, share it with the Bay Area, and you guys can. Just send me a copy of what you come up with. But what we do is we hand that out to murder victims' families and so forth. Man, I can't appreciate. I can't say how much we appreciate this enough. I mean, this thing goes by really quick, and there's so much that we could just sit here and talk about to dissect East Palo Alto. Is there anything else that you guys have in mind that you want to mention? What's you said $60-something an hour for the starting, or for the topped out police officer? Is that what it is?
67 without incentives. Yeah, 67 without incentives.
Okay.
We're hiring. We love laterals.
Well, they'd have to give me a field promotion to like a major or something higher. I don't know.
You can do that.
Man,
I don't. You can come back to San Jose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I am up for is I'll be happy to share any material I've got with you guys. And you might see some of that you might be able to find useful, and I'm happy to. You need to have me out there someday, and we can just talk homicides, and I'll do an 8-hour class on homicide investigation. But I'm sure you've got some all stars. Oh, and one last thing I wanted to ask you real quick, because we got to run. Did any of the Zodiac victims end up in your jurisdiction as far as back in the 60s?
If they did, I don't know.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, Ronnie, you got anything else?
I just appreciate what you guys are doing. Keep up the good work. It's always great to talk to some cops from other than Tulsa who have similar views that Jason and I have, and I just appreciate that. And thank you guys.
That have walked,
both of you.
That have walked the walk, and they know what they're talking about, and they're making a difference. So I cannot say that enough. I'm going to tell you a guest coming up in June, just to give you a preview real quick. We're going to have one of Ted Bundy's victims that from the Chi Omega sorority house that's going to be joining us in June. So stay tuned for that. There's going to be somebody else next week. I just don't remember. Maybe we don't even have anybody. I don't know. Maybe it'll be Ronnie and I, but we'll see. But hey, listen, I want to thank you guys enough. Amanda's got to take off out of here and go to Wiretap, which is going to be the show directly after us. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate you very much. Stick around. Don't click X. Stick around.
Okay. We'll do.
Amanda, take us out.